Hi, good afternoon. Today is August 19th, 2019. My name is Olawale Okabola, Spartacus Trading Corporation, here to bring you the recap of today's trade on the S&P E-mini, or not trade, but today's pit session, rather. I talked about in my review, starting the week, we are gapping. We need to hold the gap to show further continuation to the upside. If we cannot hold this gap for the week, then the market is not as strong as price will lead you to believe. I also talked about a balance area that we needed to get through for more continuation to the upside. Comes as no secret where the market died, right in this balance area. Okay. And so I said that this is going to be a huge, not huge, but this intraday balance from whatever day, the 13th. Um, that's where the rubber meets the road to the upside. If there's any serious business to take care of to the upside, or more stops to be hit, we would get through this zone and somehow start to stay above the zone. That did not happen. We basically got into this zone and we died. Self-explanatory, right? So pretty much the market showed his hand today as far as what it wanted to do, dying in the zone. Now let's go ahead and do the recap. Not the recap, but the preparation for tomorrow's trade, which will be August 20th. Once again, as you can see, that today it really was a nothing day. I think it was like a 17-point range, and nothing really to talk about from this day as I'm looking at it right now. Just nothing but a rotational day. Now we're beginning the preparation for tomorrow's trade, which will be August 20th, 2019. Once again, we start off with the monthly bar. Not much to talk about with one time framing down 1 month on the monthly. We talked about that this morning. On the weekly, we're one time framing down, up. I apologize. We're one time framing up 1 week, 2 weeks. Okay. We're trading above. Uh, if you're looking at this current 2 week balance area, we're trading above that half back. We're looking at this 3 week balance area. We're trading above that half back as well. And we are trading about a tick or so above the 4 week balance area half back. Once again, I use the half back on a multi-day, multi-week, multi-month basis just to have a gauge of where we're trading within that balance. So within these 4 weeks, we're barely trading above the half back of these 4 weeks on the weekly. Okay. Also, pay attention to the weekly. We have a weekly doji. Okay. Again, the question for the week is, if can we hold the gap? This weekly bar does not show the gap. I'll show the gap on the daily. Another reference to pay attention to is the weekly open. Are we going to trade lower from the weekly open, or are we going to trade higher? I think the weekly open is an excellent reference to get you on the right side of the market and get you on a good trade going in either direction. On the daily, we're one time framing up, 2 days. Here's that gap I talked about that we need to hold for the week. If there's anything more to the upside, we're going to go up and we're going to leave this gap behind. We need to hold the gap. The market needs to hold the gap. But if it doesn't, then we're going to target all this downside day from this up day from Friday. And then there's also a gap that started the day on Friday. And I'm sure the market would target that because the market's not as strong as as price would have you believe. So once again, this gap is very important to start the week off. So we got another 4 days to continue to monitor what goes on for this week. And also, I believe there should be some volatility coming into the market. The Fed chair is supposed to speak on the 23rd. I believe that's Friday. So, depending on how the week shakes out, we'll see what happens. Okay, taking you back to the profiles. Not much to talk about. We got a on the daily. We got a doji. You can see that from the daily bar. We got a doji. So this open is very important. Do we close or do we trade above or below the daily open, which is also the weekly open because the day is Monday, right? Makes sense. So we want to know, this is a key reference. This really is what you should be paying attention to when you're going into tomorrow. Where are we in relation to that? That'll get you on the right side of the market. If we open below today's open, which is the weekly open, more than likely we probably have the chance to develop at a minimum overlapping the lower value. What does value tell you? Market's going down. If it, I don't know how down, but it's going down. You have some possible downside targets. One, namely, being the gap. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean we can fill this gap in one day, but you would not be surprised if we got the right volatility. On the upside, we open above the open, the weekly open. We have a 9 wide point of control that can be tagged. We also have two anomalies showing that at least on the downside, the market was it's more liquidation on the downside. And then we also have this day that we talked about that had a light volume. Not, it was a light volume day overall for the range. Look at the range. But then the market got to a certain point to where it was basically balancing out. I talked about this intraday balance. Okay, we got in there. So I think the intraday balance is still on because if you look at today's trade, the market's still balanced within that intraday balance. So you play the balance rules with this intraday balance. If we open below that, that keeps us below the open. We target in this gap. Makes sense? Let's keep it simple. If we open above the open, we're still in balance. You want to see the market show you that it wants to at least test this intraday balance area high. What's the first sign that we want to test it? Value. If value begins to develop higher, overlapping to higher, then you know that okay, we're testing here, and then from there, this is from this point, and that is 37 quarter, is where the rubber meets the road as far as anything to the upside. So this is an easy peasy review. Watch the video a couple of times so it gets you on the right side of the trade. Um, and that's about it. So this is Olawale Okabola, Spartacus Trading Corporation, wishing you a good day.